Hello YouTube. This is a video about my 2017 Victory Highball and about the LED turn signals and license plate relocation from victoryonly.com. I believe Custom Dynamics is really the supplier, victoryonly.com being the distributor. I don't care to take the time to edit this video, so please bear with me. I made this video just because I ran into a couple little things along the way. I thought it was going to be an easier project, and like all motorcycle and car projects, it always tends to take about 3 times as long as you would expect and costs about 3 times as much. So if you're watching this video, you probably either already did your research or bought the kit. Or you might be in the midst of your installation and hung up on something. So yeah, I was just going to go through a couple of things that I ran into here. So starting off with license plate relocation, they make a couple different products. One is the LED turn signal strip that has the built-in license plate frame, so the license plate is still there and the LED strip is there, but the turn signals, the factory turn signals, are eliminated. In retrospect, I probably, or may have went with that option because it's probably a little bit easier. With this, you had to relocate the license plate frame, and then of course it needs to be lit at night. So you have to run a wire from the license plate frame to back into the wiring harness for the original license plate frame. I probably could have spliced it somewhere in here if I cared to look up exactly what wire it was and chopped it and kind of made a mess under the seat. But what I ended up doing was and it's probably a little bit goofy, but you do it the right way, and it's just a long wire. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it comes out okay. What I ended up doing is, because the factory license plate frame wire obviously comes from this area here, actually this plug specifically, that obviously this wire usually runs under here and then down, but I have it for testing purposes on the outside. I'm going to put this all back together, obviously, when I'm done. But the license plate light wire actually runs from the bike into the fender harness, over the fender, and then into the license plate frame. What I ended up doing is I ended up splicing it and running it back over the fender, and then down and then into the license plate frame on the other side. So it's a little bit goofy, but in the long run it was a little bit easier, and it came out good. The only thing I'm a little bit upset about is this wire here. We can see underneath the wire still kind of is exposed here and runs along as advised. I ran it along the brake line here. We zip tied it a few times here, and then we ran it up through behind the battery and under the seat, and then attached it up here and then went back over there. So I think it came out good. What I did is I actually took out the fender. Some people don't do that. For me, it was a little bit easier to do a clean installation. We can actually see, bear with me here, under the fender here. It ends up looking a little bit like a mess, but obviously the better job that you do, you can clean it up more or less depending on how you like it. I like to wrap it, use a lot of electrical tape, a lot of zip ties. And the other thing I did too is I soldered all the connections, and I electrical taped them and then shrunk tubed them. So if you see here, this is actually an example of this here. In retrospect, I probably should have did it end to end and wrapped the wire ends around each other after I stripped the insulation and wrapped them straight in line. What I did is I joined them together and twisted, soldered it, shrunk tube it, and then wrapped it. And it looks good. It's clean. It's never going to come apart, but it just looks a little silly with these strange little branches here as opposed to being one straight line. So in retrospect, something I would have done. I highly suggest doing it that way for longevity of the bike. It's not difficult. One thing that I always say to people, I sell used auto parts, and a lot of people get frustrated and intimidated by wiring and things they've never done before, whether it's changing a part on a bike or a car. One thing I'll tell you is you use your hands a little bit. You have a basic knowledge of things, and it's very easy. Watch a couple of YouTube videos, and it can be done. It's not hard at all, and it's the right way to do it. You can go and chop it up and, you know, use the blue inline clamp splices and posi splices, but this is the way I did it, and I think it will hold up for a long time. So one thing I ran into after I did all this is, stupid me, I should have did my research and I should have used more common sense. Online, a lot of things say from bikes from 2006 with a different CAN bus all the way to 2016, you need a one of these guys here called a load equalizer. This is basically going to stop your bike from thinking that a turn signal's out. Modern vehicles are designed, when there's a low voltage, they will do what they call hyperflash, where the blinkers flash really quickly. And because the LED turn signals are a lower voltage than factory, the bike thinks that there's a blinker out, so it's going to flash rapidly to warn you and to have it replaced. That load equalizer is going to remedy that. And because online it said to 2016, I was dumb and thought, oh, I have a 2017 bike, and not thinking that they probably just didn't update the information. So that was one hurdle I got. I got it going, tested it. Luckily I didn't put it back together, and found out I needed that load equalizer, and then had to wait and then put that in today. So these load equalizers, this one's also from Custom Dynamics here. Pretty straightforward. One thing with this is I wasn't quite sure, the directions weren't 100% clear. I wasn't sure if I had to be putting these posi taps into the Fender wiring harness on this side or on the other side. And they do say the fuse module relay, flasher relay, which is this here. And normally this is tucked straight down here, and this pressure fitting goes into the other side of this hole here, and that's tucked down, which I'll obviously reinstall. So this is actually where you want to connect those. And these are actually pretty simple. That gray piece is a lot of online videos as to how to install these. That gray twist piece there straddles this wire, and then you just screw it down, and obviously there's a sharp pin there that pierces the insulation and is metal, and then taps it into this wire here. This wire here simply goes down. Obviously you want to put this cap, you want to put the wire on in the middle of that cap there, and then you obviously strip your insulation, wrap the exposed wire on the metal that's inside there, and then just screw it. It's very, very simple. So here on this bike, it's the solid blue wire, the solid black ground, and the blue and red wire. Obviously a lot of different bikes are different. I believe that most wiring's pretty simple. It's the same in the Harleys. I believe they make load equalizers, and again, in retrospect, I might have gotten one that has a male and female, and then an equalizer in the middle that straddles the module in this connector. That probably would have been a little bit easier, but this isn't bad. They also say that you have to mount, it gets hot, so you want to mount this against the frame for heat sink. This was a pain in the butt, obviously being a motorcycle, but there's not a lot of space. I think I'm going to mount it, just zip tie it, move my winter plug there, and then just zip tie it in the back there. It does fit. I just can't get it with one hand. It does fit right there, actually pretty neat. Put this back, plug everything back in, and I'll be good to go. So I tested it. I'll show you guys. It does say to run the bike. I believe I have to get the blinkers going, so I'll run it. I do obviously have my Freedom Performance pipes here, highly recommended. Beautiful. They don't look so beautiful now because the bike's been sitting for the winter. I haven't cleaned it yet since the winter, and it's quite dusty, but they look beautiful. They sound beautiful. I love them. You obviously have to get a tune. I went to some guys here in Rhode Island in Westerly. Excellent guys down there. They tuned the bike. I believe they are K&M. I could be wrong on that. They tuned the bike, and boy, did that make a big difference. He's very, very busy, but because he's so good, dyno tunes the bike and basically gets the jerkiness out of it, gets the slop out of it, and the shifts are incredibly smooth in between each shift. It doesn't pop as much. It still pops a good amount, but not as much. kind of adds to the cool factor anyway. So those are going to be loud. So what I'll do right now is I'll start it up, I'll test it, I'll show you what it looks like. Obviously it doesn't have the hyper flash anymore. You'll see that. I'm going to test the emergency flashers, each blinker, the brake light, and then we'll go from there. One thing in regards to the brake light is you can get, again in retrospect, I might have gotten a 3-way brake light module. That's kind of cool. What that does is when you hit the brakes, it lights up not only the brake light, but also the 2 turn signal lights. Something that you could do, something I might still do in the future, but at this point I just need to get out and ride for the summer. So, all right, here we go. We'll give it a little test here. I also added our JW speaker headlight. Again, a very easy installation. There's a screw on the bottom here that I ended up stripping, so I had to go get another one. But this already looks like it's rusting, so I may need to go out and get a proper victory screw there. Pull out the old one, pull out the rubber, pull out the bucket that it sits in, put it in there, smush it back together, put it in. Very, very simple and easy installation. There's a running light, I guess, that they use in Europe that we don't use here, that you don't need to worry about connecting. Other than that, you just plug and play. Is it worth $500? No, but of course, I bought it a month ago and they lowered the price to $350. I'd say it's probably worth about $350, but I don't know if it's worth $500. They can only do to certain spec in the United States as far as brightness and level and all that, and $500 seemed to be a little bit steep, but it is what it is. It's also the adaptive too, so when you're moving, there are lights that light up on the ground right there to point the way. Again, I don't think it's worth $500. All right, let's do the test. All right, guys, before I die of carbon monoxide poisoning, I'll shut that off. All right, yeah, again, I hope this was helpful for folks. I hope that I didn't bore you to death. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave in the comments or whatnot on YouTube. I don't do a lot of YouTube videos, or I'm sure it'll pop up on my notifications though. So yeah, I'm going to put this all back together. It's all done. I'm so happy, very happy with all the product quality. Victory.com, I have to say, called Custom Dynamics, and on that question about the fuse relay, and they were very, very helpful, and I highly recommend. Don't be afraid to give them a call if you have any questions too. Yeah, so good luck. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm going to go out and ride and enjoy the summer. Thank you.